constantly feeling like there's not enough hours in the day to get all of your work done? You're not alone. As an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, time can feel like your biggest enemy, but it doesn't have to. Today, I'm sharing 5 powerful time management strategies for you to help you reclaim your time and get back in control of your business and your life. Welcome to Next Level Leadership. I'm Dana Weaver. If today's conversation resonates with you, I would really appreciate it if you would hit the like and subscribe button so other people can get these tips and tools to help them be more organized and reduce the amount of overwhelm that they have in their business. I want to tell you a little story about me that you may have heard on other videos that I've posted. But I have a little problem with something I call shiny object syndrome. I love to listen to other YouTube channels, listen to podcasts, especially while I'm working or cleaning the house or, doing manual labor. I love to listen to the podcasts. And I always get brand new ideas and I get so excited about what someone else has implemented that worked for them. I'm thinking, I've got to bring this into my business. And I have all of these ideas out there. I have so many of them written down. And early on in my business, I chased them all. And it's funny because I love ideas. I love collecting ideas. However, what happens when you do that is you lose ground on the business that you have. You lose whatever progress you've made so far, you lose ground on that. And so chasing shiny objects is not necessarily what's going to get you ahead. 1 or 2 of those may be great, but it's better if you would step back, write all of those shiny objects down that you get very excited about, and prioritize which ones make sense to bring into your business at certain times during the year. You definitely don't want to do it all at once. But all of that to say, I have shiny object syndrome, and sometimes that messes with my time management. As I go over the strategies today, just remember that I have had problems with time management as well, and these strategies have helped me get more focused on getting my stuff done and being able to protect what's important in my business. And so hopefully it will help you as well. Actually, I know it will help you if you implement them. So number 1 we're going to talk about today is doing a time management audit or a task audit that you can use to identify your energy leaks or your time leaks within your business. So most entrepreneurs in general don't really understand or know where their time actually goes. They start their work and then all of a sudden it's the end of the day and they're like, what did I actually get done today? That happens with a lot of my clients. And so focusing on auditing what you're doing in a day really tells you where those leaks are. So my recommendation is that you write down or you at least record your tasks that you do every day. You can do this through apps. I think there's an app called Toggle or Rescue Time. There's several apps that you can do that with. You can do it online. And then my personal favorite is writing it down in a notebook. When I write my tasks down in a notebook and then I'm able to audit them, I quickly am able to identify where time leaks are. So use whatever system works best for you. If you're a techie, use your apps, use the computer. If you're not and you really like analog, do what I do and use your notebook. What you want to do is for a week, write down every task you do and then audit it and look back over the week and think, okay, where are my time leaks? And where are my energy leaks? What am I spending a ton of time on that is just making me tired and exhausted? Do I need to be doing those? We'll talk about those in some of our next steps, but as you're auditing that, just identify that, highlight it, whatever works on any of the apps that you use, just make sure that you're noting them and identifying them so you can go back to them later. I liken this to a health coach. So I have a really good friend who is a health coach. And one of the first things that she does with her clients is have them write down everything that they've eaten in the past week, or start today and have them write down what they eat every single day. And then together they go back over them and they identify which foods help them to become a little bit more healthy and which foods didn't, and which foods they should take out of their rotation or at least limit. It's very similar. And so when you're auditing your time, you really get a clear picture of where your time is going. And awareness is the first step to reclaiming your time. So number 2 strategy, and it's the popular thing of the moment, is called time blocking. Time blocking has been a huge time saver for me personally, and I know it has for many people out there. So the reason that time blocking is really important is because many of us do multitasking. We're multitaskers. We can get this done in this time, especially us women who have realized that we can do several things at once. The problem is when we multitask, even though we think we're getting a lot done, we're actually getting less done at less quality. If you can, and there's research that supports this, if you can focus on one thing at a time, you're going to develop a more quality product, do something at higher level quality than if you are trying to multitask and do all kinds of things at once. I've tested this on myself and it works. And I know that some of my clients have done it too. And there's lots of people out there who have done it. So how do you actually time block? That's the big question. You hear it, you kind of have an idea of what it might be, but let's dive into it a little bit more. So what you want to be able to do here is you want to schedule blocks of time where you can do deep work in your business. And then another block of time where you do, say, the administration tasks, the admin tasks that you have to do all of the time every day. Look at your receipts and those kinds of things. And then your personal time. Personal time is really important, and you want to schedule that into a block as well. So this is how I do it. So hopefully it helps you to kind of get an idea about how I time block. The first thing that I do is my mornings are chunked into different sections. The first thing I do when I wake up is I do my Bible study and my prayers and my breathing, and I get all of that done first thing in the morning. The second thing that I do, because my mind is constantly going after I get my kids off to school, I sit down and I work in my book. I write in my book and make sure that that time is dedicated to writing and organizing what I'm trying to put in my book. And then the afternoons are for meetings. Sometimes I'm able to keep that organized. Sometimes I'm not. A lot of times I'll write until 10, and then I write until 10, and then I'll do some of the other things. It just depends on what I have going on that day. But I make sure that I protect that time for writing. And I also protect the time for creating content, which comes out of my writing. So it's nice there. And also, then in the afternoons, then I can take my meetings and work on other things that are going on in my day, in my business, that are going to move the needle forward. And then in the evening, I keep that time for my family. If you know me, or if you've heard any of the other videos where I've talked about my struggle to have a family, you know that my family is incredibly important to me, and they are an answer to my prayer. Since I have a family, I want to make sure that I spend as much time with them as I can to help them grow and to help support them and just be a family. It's very important to me. It's one of my values. And so I make sure that my evenings are for family and the things that nurture my family. Excuse me. So the most important takeaway about this time chunking, or the time blocking word that's so popular, is if it's not scheduled, it's not going to happen. Because if you're a multitasker, or if you're a reactor to things, you're going to constantly be reacting to everything that's coming at you, and you're not going to be proactive in getting your work done. The number 3 thing that we're going to talk about is ruthlessly, and I mean ruthlessly, eliminate, automate, or delegate the things that you do not need to be doing. Overwhelm comes from doing everything instead of focusing on what truly matters. It comes from doing everything. If you are that person who's constantly doing everything, you are likely overwhelmed and you're likely not as excited about your business as you were when you started, or where you could be if you would automate, delegate, or eliminate some of the things on your list. So let's start with elimination. Cut out unnecessary tasks that you don't need to be doing. What are some things that you do in a day that you don't necessarily need to be doing? Well, it's not necessarily a task, but if you're scrolling on social media because you're trying to engage with people, make sure that you time block that. Going back to our number 2, make sure you're time blocking that and you're not spending extra time in that area. Some things that you might be doing is you might be taking, if you're partnering with other people, you might be taking on extra work that you don't have to do, that maybe you're good at and you could do really quickly, but someone else should be doing that. And so understanding what that is and protecting your time around that is very, very important. Another thing is commitments. So there's tons of commitments that we say yes to in a week. You can cut probably half of those out because they're not necessary. How many times have you gotten direct messages off of social media from someone that just wants 15 minutes of your time? They're probably trying to sell you something, or they're trying to pick your brain. How important are those pieces to getting your business to a place where it can keep moving forward? They're not. Just say no to those things. Or if you're like me, I look at them and I just don't even respond because they're not respecting my time. So I'm not going to entertain those things. And then the other thing is distractions. Wherever you work, eliminating the distractions in your environment, or the distractions that are on your computer or looking at your phone or whatever it is, eliminate those distractions. I often put my phone on do not disturb for chunks of time. So going back to my time blocking, so that I can focus in on the areas that are so important for me to work on in that moment, and I don't just get distracted from that. I have I would call her a business colleague, and she has severe ADHD. And she finds it very difficult to stay focused and not overwhelmed in her business. And so she's created tools that she can use to stay focused on her business, which has been very helpful for her. There are things that you can automate. So you can use tools that are out there. You can use email templates. So for example, I use the platform Kajabi for my business. It houses my website. It houses my email marketing. It houses my courses. It houses so many different things. And I can automate emails to drip out after somebody interacts with me so that there's a touch point working with them every time. That automation is so helpful because if I was doing those touch points every week, I would be forgetting to do them. I wouldn't get them done. I'd be overwhelmed by it. I'd take forever to write it out. If you can automate it once, and then every time somebody comes into your orbit and maybe click something on your website where you can then dribble those out, very, very cool. And you don't have to spend the time doing that, but it makes a huge difference in the touch point with your customer. Another thing you can use is scheduling apps. I love my Calendly app. It's not really an app, but maybe it is. I only use it on the computer, but I love Calendly because when somebody says, let me back up. I love Calendly because when I'm trying to schedule a potential client to have a conversation, then I can have them go onto the Calendly app. They can find time in my schedule where it's open, where I have blocked out the time that works for their schedule, and then we can do it. I also use it when I do my interviews for YouTube. I have them go on and schedule a time. I have a blocked day every week where I do YouTube interviews. And so they can go on, they answer a few questions, and then they get accepted or denied based upon, my criteria on being on my YouTube channel. And then they're going to get automated emails going forward to remind them of the time and remind them of the things that we need to help make them look great on YouTube. So that is another scheduling app that's very important for me. And finally, use AI. Artificial intelligence is here. Artificial intelligence is going to keep coming. If you're not using artificial intelligence, AI, in your business, you are already behind. You're already behind because AI can spit stuff out so quickly that it'll blow your mind if you've never seen it before. And if you have used it before, you know how beneficial this is. I love ChatGPT because I can brainstorm ideas with ChatGPT and get some ideas going before I test them with my audience or I test them with my clients. It can be helpful for content. You don't want to use it word for word. That's my little disclaimer. Don't use AI word for word if it's spitting out content for you. But you can use it to brainstorm ideas. I use ChatGPT to help me organize my thoughts on time management for this today. And so it was very helpful. And I told it what I wanted to say, and it organized it in a way that was very helpful for me. And then I was able to write my outline. So AI can be extremely helpful, and it cuts down the amount of time that you're using to identify and work on some things. Excuse me. Anything that you can reduce, any amount of manual work or tasks that you can reduce in your business that you don't have to do is very important. The next thing that is very difficult, very, very difficult for some people, especially women, and I'm not sure why, is the idea of delegation. You may be a solopreneur and you're trying to do all of the things, but if you could bring on a virtual assistant to do several little things that you don't like to do that could move your needle forward, your business is going to grow and you are not going to feel so overwhelmed. Delegating is very important in that part. Well, delegating is very important in every part of your business if you want to grow and if you want to succeed. You can outsource low value tasks that you don't necessarily need to do, or you can outsource tasks that you don't like to do. If you're bringing in enough income to be able to outsource all of your video streaming and all of your content management and all of that, highly recommend it if it's not something that lights you up and makes you happy. You need to do it, but you don't like to do the editing. You don't like to do all of the things. Bring someone in who is an expert at that, pay them, and then you have that off of your plate. All you have to do is manage that piece. That is a lot less work than doing it yourself. If you have a hard time with managing your calendar, if you're not using an app, you can outsource your calendar to a VA who can help you manage that and remind you when you have meetings coming up. There's all sorts of ways that you can do that. It's whatever works best for you. But don't forget the word delegate. Delegate is very important for you to grow. Identify things that you can delegate and then think very clearly about how you can delegate it to another person and be clear about what you're delegating, what your expectations are, and what your values are, so that when you're taking these tasks and giving them to another person, that person understands the importance of them, understands how you've done it before, and maybe they can give you ideas on how you can do it better. But outsourcing that is it's very helpful, and it saves you a ton of time. So the takeaway from all of this is you don't have to do it all. You don't have to do everything in your business. Just do the right things. And frankly, the right things are likely the revenue generating activities that are important to your business. And that brings us to our fourth strategy: set boundaries like a boss. If you're going to be a boss, you're going to have to set boundaries. If you don't protect your time, others will fill it for you. Think about it for a moment. If you don't protect your time and you say yes to everything, all of those little DMs that are coming in and they'll say, "Can I have 15 minutes of your time?" And you'll say, "Sure." And then 15 minutes turns into 30 minutes or an hour, and they're trying to sell you something, and then you decided to buy because you either liked their product or you felt sorry for them or what have you, and then you're out time and you're out money. Protect your time and do not let others fill it for you, no matter how hard they beg. Identify the people that are going to help you move your business forward. Identify people who are going to be your clients. Give them your time so that you can continue to generate cash flow and you can continue to grow your business. If you haven't noticed so far, I have been sick. I've had COVID for the last week, and the other people in my family have as well. And so my voice sounds kind of rough, and it'll cause me to stop from time to time. So I apologize for everything feeling kind of shaky, but it's life. I'm showing up to my business because I deem this as a very important part of what I do. So how can you protect your time is a really good question. You're probably saying, well, Dana, how can I do this? How do I protect my time so that I am focusing on those most important revenue generating activities? You can set office hours. That's one thing you can do. Think back to when you were in college, or if you didn't go to college in high school, where your teachers or your professors would set office hours, and you could go in and ask them any question. So I'm showing my age there a little bit. Professors now have office hours that you can email them, and they'll respond to your email or text or whatever, however it is that it works for your particular place. But office hours are something that you could implement in your business. Even if you work from home, that would be very important to you. So the office hours could be, I will take calls within this time and this time, or I will answer emails between this time and this time. And that will help you. So emails are something that can be a time suck. Emails and DMs, or at least I find that emails and DMs are a very big time suck for me. So one of the things that you can do is create an autoresponder for non-urgent requests. And setting that autoresponder, it can be huge instead of just letting a request or an email go without any response. So there is a YouTuber that I have been listening to since before I started my business. Very much respect this person, and I've learned a lot from listening to his YouTube and going on his website and taking some of his classes. And I decided a couple of months ago, I was creating something and I wanted to get the word out about this retreat that I was doing. And so I emailed him and I said, I really respect you and your work. And I listened to you early on in my career. And one of the things that you mentioned that helped move the needle for you was connecting with someone who had a larger audience than you did to promote your thing. And that really helped things take off. I told that story to him. I asked him if he would help promote my program, and I hit send. I was a little nervous about it. And I got an autoresponder. And it was a non-urgent autoresponder, but basically said, thank you for your email. We're honored that you would, invite us to do this. And it's not within our priorities right now. So we will not be able to do that. We have a policy that we only do X, Y, and Z. And it spelled it all out for me. And then at the end was good luck in your endeavor. So here's what this did for me. Yes, I was a little bit disappointed, but I kind of expected that it might come or something along those lines. I kind of was hoping it was specifically from him, but that autoresponder was immediate. And I knew immediately where I stood in the situation. And I didn't get left hanging and wait forever for the answer. And the level of respect that I have for him actually went higher because I knew immediately and I knew why he wasn't able to fill my request. It made total sense to me. And I respect him. And I've added that into my work as well. So, that autoresponder can be huge. And the other thing that you can do is say no more often without guilt. That's so easy for me to say. Say no without guilt. But the truth is, you can say no, and you can not feel guilty about it, especially after you practice for a while and realize, if you're a people pleaser and you say yes to everything, once you start saying no, a couple things will happen. Either you'll feel very, very powerful, or you're going to feel very, very guilty. Over time, you'll feel more powerful, but keep doing it, saying no to things that do not serve you, that do not serve your business, are not aligned with your values, and say no to things that are not going to move your business forward. I want to tell you a story about one of my clients because I think that it really embodies what I'm talking about here. So she's a very successful entrepreneur and she has a lot of clients. And her particular work is very focused on working with individual clients. She does a lot of work for them and creates things for them and what have you. And she is really good at what she does. And so people seek her out. And she was getting to a point where she had clients who were texting her and emailing her at all times of the day, wanting her to do X, Y, and Z. And it was really frustrating her because she wasn't able to maintain that work-life balance. And she wasn't able to maintain the boundaries around her time because at one time that was fine. But now, as she continues to grow, that is not fine for her business. So we were talking about it, and I encouraged her to set times or days where her two sets of clients that she works with can connect with her. So she can focus in on this area of her business on these days, and she can focus on this area of her business for these days. And after I said it, she's like, yeah, that might work, but I don't think that my clients are going to really resonate with that or go for it. They're just not going to go for it. They're probably just going to go back to the way it was before. And I pushed her just a little bit on it, and she really started thinking about it, and she created those office hours, and she created a system for herself that showed the days of the week that she was going to work on these types of clients, and then days of the week that she would work on these types of clients. And she put it all together, and she communicated it very, very clearly with each set of clients. And the coolest thing happened. Her highest value client, or the one that could technically do the most work with her and has, for lack of a better word, the deepest pockets, came back to her and said, I see what you're doing here and I respect it and I am all in on what you're doing. Sign me up. So he signed up for 6 more months. And that is her biggest value client. And so what she's done is not only has she set time around her schedule so that she could focus, time blocking. Not only has she done that, but she also caught the eye of a very important client who understands what she's doing and understands the value that she brings even more than he did before. He understands that she and her work are incredibly valuable, and he's willing to pay that extra money for her and work within her time frame. So now she can bring on higher level clients that pay her more to do the same thing that she's doing. Hugely valuable. I'm not saying that happened overnight. It took some brain power for her to work on, but it has moved the needle for her, and it's going to continue to move the needle for her. So set your office hours. Say no to things that aren't important to you. Protect your time at all costs, because if you protect your time, you're going to be protecting your success. And finally, number 5 is my favorite because I have been using it for years and years, and I think that it is one of the most important things that I've done. And it's called the 80-20 rule. You have probably heard of it. You use the 80-20 rule to focus on high impact tasks that you're doing. And the reason why you do this and what it means is 80% of the results that you get from your business come from 20% of your efforts. Let me say that again. 80% of the results that you get in your business come from only 20% of your efforts. If you're overwhelmed and you're constantly doing all of the things, that should make you take a step back and think about that. Now, when you're going back and doing your time audit or your task audit, like we talked about in the very first strategy, go back and identify and put a star by or highlight or whatever works best for you. which of those activities actually brought revenue into your business or building. Think about that for a second. Highlight those and identify what those are. You want to do more of those because that is what's going to move the needle for your business. So identify the small percentage of tasks that create the biggest results, like I said, and then get rid of those other things or outsource them or delegate them or whatever. It all flows together. So here's how you can identify those things. Look at the difference between client work, working with your clients or supporting your clients on social media versus just scrolling social media and seeing what's out there. Because I don't know about you, but it's pretty easy for me to get lost in social media when I get out there. So I have to have a plan. I have to focus on the things that I'm going to do. And I actually write a little to-do list. I'm going to look and see what this person is posting and support this person. I have a group of people that I always support, and they always support me. And so I prioritize those things because I believe that's going to move the needle for me. But if you're scrolling on social media or you get lost in that social media, that's where the time suck is. You can also focus on when you're doing sales calls, focus on the sales calls that are important to you or your discovery calls or whatever you call those calls that are coming into you that will hopefully be your next client. Focus on those and spend time identifying what you're going to say in those calls or what questions you're going to ask in those calls and identifying what's going to move the needle in those sales calls versus endless email responses. You may have 100 emails that you need to respond to in your box, but those sales calls are going to bring in the customers. Those emails aren't necessarily going to bring in the customers. So you want to go back and automate them, delegate them, whatever it is that will move that needle forward. That's what you want to do. So the key takeaway there, work smarter, not harder. Harder is not going to get you farther. So going back over everything that we've talked about, we're going to quickly review it. Audit your time. Take a week, audit all of your tasks. Identify those tasks that are important and that are moving you forward. Get rid of the tasks that you're doing that aren't moving you forward or you don't need to do. You can also identify where to delegate them or how to automate them or whatever works. But if it's something that you don't have to do, you want to get it off your task list. The second thing was time blocking. Time blocking is such an important way for you to focus in on the most important 20% of what you're doing that's going to bring in the 80% of your results. Time block that stuff. Eliminate things that do not serve you, do not serve your business. Just eliminate them and get rid of them. Like I said, automate, delegate, and then set boundaries around your time and be ruthless about that. Set those boundaries. Really, set those boundaries and say no to what doesn't serve you and say yes to what does. You know, I have personally, as I've said, struggled with time management over the years. Back when I was working a corporate job and also when I started my business, I really do get bogged down in that shiny object syndrome, but it doesn't move me forward. I'm moving forward now because I've prioritized the things that are important to my business and moving the needle forward. And I'm also sharing everything that I've learned with my clients, and it's moving their needle as well. So these things are very helpful. It's things that I teach in my courses. It's things that I teach with my clients, as I've alluded to throughout the conversation, and it can help you as well. So I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that it will change the game for you and help you to scale your business in ways you couldn't have even imagined. I'm just wondering though, which of these strategies that I talked about today is important for you to do first or implement first? What's just one of them? Implement one of them first. And the easiest thing to implement could be the tasks. It could be any of them. I'd just like to know in the comments what you're going to implement first. And also, if today was helpful, I would really appreciate it if you would hit the like and the subscribe button. A lot of people that watch my channel don't even subscribe to the channel. And I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe so you can be notified when new episodes come out and new strategies are available for you to be a successful entrepreneur. Thank you for watching. And until next time on Next Level Leadership, I'm Dana Weaver.